Hi, it is Mike Matthews, the host of the longest-running self-produced daily podcast on planet Earth. It is Mike's Daily Podcast, and today we get to some interesting things. We hear one of the funniest things I ever heard on local Bay Area radio. Sadly, the radio show that did it is no longer. Also, we get to a band that I finally found it on my website. I know I did an interview with this band called Taxes and Robbie Cronholm. And I think it was in a band called Crump or Crumbs or something like that. But he had worked with Quincy Jones, I found out recently, through his Instagram. And there is an interview I did on my website, mikesdailypodcast.com, but you got to look at the interviews 2011 to 2014. I still haven't organized. Organizing alphabetically is such a, I don't know. You know, for years, people in libraries, this is all they did. Librarians, they would do all this hard work of organizing alphabetically. And, oh, his last name was Adams, so you got to make sure that it's in the A section, even though his first name is Zalworth, with a Z, as the Brits say. And, you know, it would just take them forever. Then computers come along and bam, they can organize and categorize. It's amazing. Well, on my website, I haven't figured all that out yet, so I got to do it piecemeal, and it's a chore. But don't cry. Everything's going to be fine. Because right now we're going to go to one of the happiest places on the planet Earth. No, not the place down there in Anaheim or over there in Orlando or where else is it? Paris, Shanghai, etc. We're going to Cafe Anyway. Let's go! Cafe Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Meritopica. It is Mike Matthews and FF episode
Mike's Daily Podcast
2961, 2961. Mike Matthews, are we having fun? It's almost Christmas, and that means that some of you will have the day off, unless you're in radio. That means you got to work sometimes, and you got to be there on the go to get to the station.
Mike's Daily Podcast
To fix things, possibly. Everything seems to break down on Christmas Day.
Mike's
It's a thing
Daily
that I've noticed.
Podcast.
It's because
Yeah!
I think the collective consciousness of the world hears all these Christmas songs over and over again, and they say, stop! No, but I am actually into, there's an online radio station that's been on for decades now called Soma FM, and they do a channel called Christmas Rocks. And there's a guy that I have had on the podcast named Robbie Cronholm, who's in a band called Taxes. And what was the other one? Was the other one called Crumbs or something? Or I forget. Sorry, Robbie. I'm having a mental lapse. Hey, if I go to my website now, mikesdailypodcast.com, and go to the interviews section, which actually you got to hover your cursor or click the home button at the top, and we see all these interviews. And we go to interviews S through T. Oh, wait, that's the category I haven't completely organized yet. But, okay. So that Sam Cohen. Oh, I left off at Sam Cohen. Dang. Well, just before T for Taxes.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Looks like, did I do that between 2015 and 17? Okay, so it looks like my website is not as organized as I thought it might be. At any rate, you can hear that interview somewhere on my website, mikesdailypodcast.com. And the podcast picture today is of my lovely lady friend and I. We were at this cool party where there was a lot of, what was the game called? The one that you have to get, charades. But kind of like charades. The late great Basil the Boxer. I don't know if he liked to play charades, but he certainly enjoyed my lovely lady friend because she's awesome. And so see a picture of our fun time at mikesdailypodcast.com and of the late great Basil the Boxer at mikesdailypodcast.com. Somewhere on my website is that interview with the band Taxes and Robbie. Okay, my point is that we as a society are having an interesting moment here regarding TikTok. Late night online shopping meet late night doom scrolling. It is emerging as an e-commerce behemoth. Black Friday success came from over 30,000 live stream sessions throughout the day from retailers and
life grand.
Isn't that grand? I am not. Oh wait, I am on TikTok. That's right. If you look for at Mike's Daily Podcast, I'm on there with little pieces of the podcast. And actually, you can see a live. I don't do the live thing. I don't think you can you? I don't even understand how TikTok works. But I know on Facebook's been around long enough so I can understand some of it. My Facebook page for mikesdailypodcast.com, I post a live video of me doing this podcast. And today I'm wearing my very cool train shirt because it's all about the Polar Express, that weird Uncanny Valley movie from the guy who brought us Back to the Future, and then Tom Hanks. And oh yeah, those two had worked together on Forrest Gump, so maybe that's why. But Polar Express, it's just tough to sit through. It's a little too much. Too many weird, lifeless, computer-generated type things. But it was pretty cool for at the time, and it doesn't seem to go away, and people loved the book before the movie came out, so there's that. But the cliche is trains.
What's the cliche of the week?
Not the band Train with Pat Monahan.
What's the cliche of the week?
I think they did a couple of cool
What's the cliche of the week?
interpretations of Christmas songs. Pat is the kind of guy who can sing this phone book and sound amazing. He did covers of, let's see, they did Van Halen's Running with the Devil in the concert that I saw him at in downtown Oakland. So what's the cliche of the week is TikTok.
What's the cliche of the week?
Is that the cliche, I guess?
What's the cliche of the week?
Will it go or not?
What's the cliche of the week?
That judge said the ban will not be rescinded, but then you've got Trump who says, "Oh no, we're gonna keep TikTok around." Maybe he's gonna change it to Trump Talk, or Tick Trump something. But Black Friday success came from over 30,000 live stream sessions throughout the day from retailers and content creators. Basically, Gen Z's version of QVC was happening on TikTok, and it's called TikTok Shop. And my lovely lady friend has a cousin named Mike, also named Mike, who uses it and has made a lot of money off of TikTok Shop. He is an artist, and he uses it quite a bit, sells a lot of stuff on it. It's attractive to retailers and consumers, so that whole thing going away would be a detriment.
News random.
To some people I know with this news random. TikTok Shop said it raked in over $100 million in sales on Black Friday this year. TikTok's got 170 million users. Let's see, what was that number though? I think X is slightly ahead with like 250 million. Was that story we were talking about? And Blue Sky is trying to get there, but they're still way behind. And just behind TikTok, you've got Threads doing pretty well. I think they've got about half as many as X, but they still got a lot. So as we go outside, and Threads is run by Zuckerberg and Facebook. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Meritopia. Yeah, so Threads, Facebook, Instagram, they're all the same company. I'm on all of those with at Mike's Daily Podcast.
Mike's Scavenger Hunt.
So if you're looking for that and doing the Mike Scavenger Hunt for that. I hate saying you can catch my socials, or you can find me on the socials, or whatever they say, socials. Say social media. It's media. It's not social. It's anything but social. because people, they're not social until they're standing in the same room together and being social. When they're not standing in the same room, when they're using all of these internet media, they are not themselves, and they can be a version of themselves that's ridiculous. And that's what's the problem with the world is this. TikTok Shop is double its sales this year to $50 billion, and Amazon's expected $757 billion.
For your entertainment, the one, the only, Mike Matthews.
Thank you. So TikTok at $50 billion, Amazon at $757 billion. So, yeah, $700 billion at least above what TikTok Shop has. But, yeah, Amazon is clearly in the lead. I was thinking about, some of you young people that possibly may be listening, which that boggles my mind because most young people are into watching videos with young people on them and all of that. But some of you going to college, I was thinking about what you're going through right now, and I did that back in the 80s, the late 80s. I was in college, and I was thinking about the Office of the Registrar. That whole thing, the Office of the Registrar. What is that? That was the office you would go to.
Yo, the mic tip.
This is my mic tip. Because nowadays, if you want to add a class, find a class, you go on the internet. It is much, much easier because you get instant results. Oh, this class is full already. I can't take it. Okay. You probably have the walk-on or the sit-in, or where you try and add the class by just being there. You just show up and hope you get to add the class. Well, back in my day, not that long ago, the 80s. Hey, every time you listen to a Cyndi Lauper song, just remember, it was just a snap, crackle, pop a while ago, not that long ago, a couple of snaps. Okay, it was eons ago, but still, we did not have, of course, the proliferation of the internet had not happened yet. Weren't any apps, computers, some had computers, but I certainly didn't. Wasn't wealthy enough.
Wow, Shuts, wow.
Mom said no, Shuts, no, because she called me Shuts, but she'd say wow. So what you had to do, what most students did, was they would wait in line at the Office of Registrar, and you would have there was either mailed to you, or you could find it, I think probably at the Office of Registrar, a catalog of all the classes, and you'd have a form, and you'd fill out the form, and you'd have your first, second, third, fourth, fifth choice, and you would walk you'd wait all day in this line. I hated that, and I had to do it. So I went to school. I got out of college in 4 years. I said, I'm doing this as quickly as possible. Mom was funding it. I wanted to just get it done and over with. So I did that as quickly as I could. And I remember 12 times having to wait for the Office of Registrar, wait in line. And you'd walk into this room with your papers, with your catalog and your choices, and your first, second, third, fourth, fifth choices.
The Newsbleed section.
And here's the news. You'd walk in, you'd sit down. There'd be always a really nice person. I don't know how they stayed nice all day, because they were dealing with hundreds of students a day. But this room full of these people that would help you, these little consultants, these counselors. And I'd sit down, I go, hey. And they're, okay, what's your major? I want to be communication studies. Okay, so what do you need? I need this, this, and this. Okay, that class is gone. And they were on computers, that's right. So they had probably the old style of DOS or RAM or whatever they called it. DOS RAM? Was that the language back then? Early Cro-Magnon language, computer language. And they go, okay, you got it. Oh, I got it? Okay. How about this one? Oh, you didn't get that one. What's your second choice? This one. Okay, you got it. Oh, great. And then sometimes it would be third, fourth, fifth choice. You still wouldn't get it. And then you'd just be like, oh, no. And I think there might have been an after-hours phone number you could call. Someone might help you. But that was the rigmarole that we had to do.
Wine.
Well, I like
The whiny white man wine list.
Yes, I'm a whiny white man, and I'm whining about those old times. But yes, it was just a very different time, and I'm whining about it. Interestingly enough, someone of color, so not white, had a couple of things to whine about. Still was whiny. And when Trump lost the last election, the last election Trump won, but the one before that, as you well know, he lost. And all these people that were trying to be Republicans, it meant, okay, if you're a Republican, it meant you had to defend Trump to the very death. Put all your money, all the money in your bank account to help save Trump. So this one guy named Dinesh D'Souza, who my lovely lady friend once met him. I don't think she met him, but
That's a nightmare of a show.
He showed up at a nightmare of a show, a nightmare of a lecture. No, I don't know if maybe it was a good lecture. They showed up at her school. It was a high school. And he gave a speech because he himself had gone to this schools in the Bronx. So she got to, I think he had gone to that. So anyway, he did show up and do a speech. So she remembered him from that. But he had to issue an apology to a man whose blurred out face appears in the 2020 election conspiracy film called 2,000 Mules for falsely identifying him as a ballot harvester, saying surveillance video footage was not correlated.
First of all, I just want to thank everyone for joining us here on this show. This is great.
Yes, this is an interesting show, Mike's Daily Podcast. Saying that the surveillance video footage was not correlated with cell phone geolocation data as the movie suggests. Now, the book that he released and the movie was the go-to proof for Republicans that felt it necessary to be election deniers. Now, I don't have problems with Republicans. I don't have problems with Democrats. I have problems with people that live in fantasy and try and tell me that reality is not what it is. And a lot of that conspiracy theory stuff is trying to tell me that what I see is not what I'm seeing. To which I say, bleep. Because I am seeing it. You can't, don't try and fool me. Don't try to, what's the expression? Is this something? Tell me, put a bag over my head and say it's raining outside, or brilliant sunshine, or whatever the wonderful expression is.
And look, my high school students know this, and my players knew this. You play hard, the other team plays hard, and after the game, if you lose, you'll walk across and shake hands and congratulate the other team. That's the way it works. Mm-hmm. In politics, you take it another step forward. You walk across and congratulate the winner, and then you pledge to do all you can to help them succeed, because that's good for America.
That's Tim Walz. For whatever reason, that did not happen in 2020. It was all about, okay, no, he won, and never moving on. And there was no sense of closure. So for 4 years, all these conservative talk show hosts, including Dinesh D'Souza, went on and on about how the election was a fraud. Yet magically, their candidate won in 2024. And I heard a little bit of a stirring about this whole, what was the link called? What's the thing? The Elon Musk link? Starlink. That he had somehow manipulated the elections that way. I heard a little bit of that, and then it went away. And Democrats are just going, oh gosh, well, Trump won. Wow, must have been because Kamala didn't have the primary. She didn't go through the primary system, and all these excuses, etc. So you're hearing that they accept the election.
Hey, listen, guys, I have some influential friends here to say hi.
Oh, is that right? A little party
They're
this
just
morning.
joining in on the celebration.
Yes.
These guys were instrumental in my victory, by the way. Elon, get over here.
Oh, Elon Musk
This guy
is there.
is so tremendously brilliant. He's my number 2.
We did it.
Oh,
we did
yes.
it. It's so great to be here, standing next to the president-elect.
Right.
And I'm honored that I have become Trump's new favorite sidekick.
Yes, you have.
The My Pillow guy has been moved to third place.
My Pillow guy's in third.
But I'm number one, and I promise to help Trump coordinate all the disinformation we'll be putting out on X.
Yeah. Is that right?
Good times. Good times.
Yes.
Thank you, Elon. And of course, my number 2 guy, RFK Jr. Get over here, RFK.
Right.
Yes. First of order of business is overhauling the healthcare system.
Is that right?
No worms. No worms.
That's how you're overhauling it.
That's what I'm doing. It's very simple. And I think it's easily a nonpartisan issue.
Right, yes.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go drink some booze. Because, after all, I'm still a Kennedy.
Well, thank you, RFK Jr. What a crew we've got.
Let's not forget me, the My Pillow guy's still here.
The My Pillow guy, you're still hanging around.
Even though I've fallen from grace to Trump's third favorite weird sidekick,
Yes.
I just want to say to Trump, it was an honor, Mr. President, to lose my multi-million-dollar fortune defending you.
You're very welcome, Mike.
Oh, not just him lost his multi-million-dollar fortune. Rudy Giuliani, several people went to jail for him. So it's crazy. All because they just would not accept the fact that he lost. He lost. Just like all the Democrats accept that she lost. She lost. And some of them are crying, and there's like international cry days and all these things. And it's an adjustment period. People will eventually get used to what is going on. The stock market has gotten used to it already. And they're like, okay, this is what's going to be happening next year. And back to TikTok, they're pretty happy because Trump's going to keep them around. And Google might even be happy because they're having all kinds of problems with having to divest from Chrome. And then the latest was the thing that I got earlier today that you probably heard about, that U.S. regulators, they're placing Google payment under supervision. The U.S. Watchdog for Consumer Finance on Friday announced it was ordering federal supervision of Google Payment Corporation, the internet giant's payment arm, a decision the company immediately said it was challenging in court. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be happy when this administration is over with, the current one, and that we're on to the next one. But why people just had to immerse themselves in the lie that the election was false. It was crazy, and it's cost Dinesh D'Souza so much. And the company that put out his movie and published his book, they've had to go through a lot as well. And I worked for a radio station that was giving away his book, and we got a call from Dinesh's people and said, throw the book away. Whatever books you were going to give away, just throw them in the trash. Don't even give them away. There's too much controversy, too much stuff going on. And, Fox got sued. So Dinesh argued that his team, quote, operated in good faith and reliance on True the Vote and doubled down on the basic message of 2,000 Mules, that there were systematic election fraud sufficient to call the outcome into question. While the video in the film created an incorrect inference as to Mr. Andrews, the underlying Matrix, the underlying Mr. Smith, it was Mr. Andrews. The underlying premise of the film holds true, he wrote. Wow. So he has doubled down. The distributor of the book apologized to Mr. Andrews in May. D'Souza says, I make this apology not under the terms of a settlement agreement or other duress, but because it is the right thing to do given what we have now learned. While I do not believe Mr. Andrews was ever identified by the film or book, I am sorry for any harm he believes he and his family have suffered as a result of 2,000 Mules. So do not discuss this topic. There's a specific 2-word title for what this is all about that has to do with the word ballot. And I actually named one of my podcasts a version of that name and was immediately taken down by YouTube, because YouTube doesn't want to have anything to do with it, because they know it's all crazy. The last election was fine. This election was fine. Here's the interesting thing is the people that were complaining that the last election was not fine, well, now that their candidate won, this year it went from 30% approval last election, this election, 93% approval. That story from NPR I heard yesterday. So it's hopefully this never happens again where a candidate becomes a whiny white man to that extreme that it causes this hysteria. And that's what it's been for the past 4 years, a hysteria. And you might be saying, Mike, you're talking too much about this. Why are you bringing this up? Well, I work in media, and I work particularly in the realm of right-wing talk radio. And I heard it talked about way too much when there were all these other topics that could have been covered. All kinds of things that are rooted in reality that could have been covered. But no. They had to talk about this for 4 years. And all these people, these celebrities, got big on Rumble and Parler before it was killed and other right-wing media platforms. And people going, yeah, they're telling the truth. They're telling the truth. No. Anyway, Cafe Anyway, look who's here. Oh, wow. I don't even know who's here today because I have not looked around outside of Cafe Anyway. What's coming down out of the sky? Is it snow? Is it Snope? That's the snow soap that comes down? Oh, that stuff is great. Just don't get it in your mouth. It's like, when you're washing your car and you're washing your car with your mouth open, you want to keep your mouth closed because of the suds. Look who's here. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing? Here's my horse, Newland.
And to disgruntled player, tell you what.
What?
It's a great way to wash the horse is to walk the horse through the snow because it gets a little soap on there and you just kind of rub it in and can clean them off with the hose that's on the side of Cafe Anyway that I use sometimes.
You know what they do in Alabama? I keep my eyes on, because I used to live in Huntsville, Alabama. I keep my eyes on the weather reports coming out of there. They're getting down below freezing right now into the 20s, not too far below freezing, but getting below. And they tell you to keep the drip on, keep the drip. Should you be doing the drip tonight? And that is where you keep your faucets, all your faucets dripping just a little bit of water all night long so that the ice doesn't form and doesn't freeze your pipes, because that can be a complete disaster. So yeah, the drip. We're keeping... That's what we'll call this podcast, The Drip. Look who else is here.
Oh my God, I make delicious root beer. Have some right now.
He didn't drip the root beer. He's poured it all over the place and a little bit on my lap. Let me try some of this. What's in that wonderful root beer?
Matt, I put some ginkgo biloba in there. Oh boy.
Ginkgo biloba. Don't know. That stuff is... it's a little energy kick, right?
Yeah, okay, drink right now. I'll cut you.
Uh-huh. Woo! All right. Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you'd like to call in and submit what you are thinking at this point, we would love to hear from you here at Cafe Anyway. All the characters would love to hear from you. Here's the number.
Call Mike at the Cafe Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
Will you shut ups? Liberty Nation Freedom Foam for All.
Mike, it's William Sham. I want to tell you I disagree with everything you're talking about. 2020 was a sham. Everything that happened that year didn't really happen. It was all a conspiracy. Will you shut up?
Thank you, Will you shut up? Will you shut up? Just stop by, everyone, to set me straight. Okay. Next show, we will hear from Madam Rutabaga Valentino and Bison Bentley. Stick around. Right now, we go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame to find out all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast. Oh, that's right. So I mentioned earlier Taxes, the band Taxes, which I hope I'll be able to find that Robbie Cronholm interview somewhere in my website. I paid for it, so I might as well be able to find him somewhere. But he did a great song called Missouri, loves company. Missouri loves company. And it's a Christmas song. And he did this over 10 years ago. And I heard it on that radio station I mentioned back at the beginning of the show, the thing called Christmas Rocks on Soma FM. Such a great song. And there's all kinds of other bizarre little ditties that you've never heard before having to do with Christmas. So I love immersing myself in the world of Christmas music. But some of these stations, they keep playing all year long. So people are listening to them in the middle of summer, which I don't understand. Anyway, with all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast, here's A-Frame. Thanks for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.